Hey, Sean, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Just kind of reflecting at last night game, you have played very clean games before. Obviously, this wasn't the situation, including some bad defensive penalties. How much emphasis would you have on avoiding mistakes and penalties?
Yeah, it's going to be big, Claudia. I love the way that we were able to overcome some things, but we know to be able to finish this deal and get a win against an excellent Bengals team in a couple weeks, we got to do a great job playing clean football, being sharp with really our communication in both phases, offensively, defensively, but just overall looking to play really clean, tough, physical brand of football, offense, defense, and in the kicking game.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Kurt.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. Hey, Sean, last time you were at the Super Bowl, afterwards you talked about overcoaching. I'm curious, in hindsight, what you meant by that now and what you've learned from that you would take forward.
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought, New England did a great job. Definitely could have done a much better job of being more, flexible throughout the course of the game and getting to some things sooner. And, that's kind of what I alluded to. And then I think it's just making sure that you allocate the next couple of weeks. And this is even a little bit different because we are at home and we'll be able to keep somewhat of a rhythm and routine that's in alignment with a normal week. And so figuring out the best way to navigate through those things. But I think it's, making decisions, being clear with the players, with the expectations and part of the game plans that we want to be able to carry and not really spending 2 weeks to tweak it, but, kind of get something set. You're always going to just fine tune a little bit here and there, but probably didn't do a good enough job of, really kind of making sure that you really try to treat that first week where you're getting the game plan in. And then the following week really represents just making little tweaks, but still keeping the foundational parts of what you installed the previous week. That was important because you travel, you're out there for a week, and there was a lot of other distractions, and you kind of wanted to get that finalized and set. It's a little bit different situation and circumstance, but certainly any previous experience you can always use as a learning op and to apply the things that are going to be the most beneficial for us to try to go win this game.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dennis.
Hey, Coach McVay. You guys held San Francisco to 50 yards rushing. What did you do differently in this game as opposed to the first two times that you played the team?
Yeah, well, our guys played great. I thought Raheem and the defensive coaching staff put together a great game plan. And then I thought we were really physical at the point of attack. We played, with some heavier box counts. I thought Eric Weddle really showed up with his ability to be able to navigate through traffic, make a lot of close quarter tackles, but thought we were physical on the front. I thought the second, in our DBs, I thought everybody just played physical, but, we committed more guys to the run front, and you saw some just heavier runs, front structures from us yesterday. And thought, the guys did a great job executing, and to hold a team like that to 50 yards is an outstanding accomplishment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dylan.
Hey, Sean, right after the Super Bowl game against the Patriots, I think the word that you used was that you had been out coached.
Yep.
You hear about athletes all the time, kind of drawing from negative experiences, and I don't want this to happen again, and that motivating them and stuff. And just kind of wondering, I guess how long did it kind of take you to? I think you used the word numb too to kind of describe how you felt, and to kind of get over that shock of having that happen at that stage. And what has been that process of I guess maybe me using that as fuel to get back to this point.
Sure. Yeah. I think, as you accumulate experience and you use it the right way, we talk to our players all the time, repetition is the mother of learning, and it's no different for coaches. And you talk about managing the game or, making decisions as a play caller and how you put together, a game plan to try to help put your players in the right situations. And so I thought, Coach Belichick and those guys did a better job than I did, for our team that night. And that's why I said those things. I think, as far as how you get over it, that was a big deal, but, it's always a part of, what you remember, but you do have to allow yourself to be able to move on, but you definitely don't want to minimize the learning lessons that can be had from it if you apply it in the right way. And, those are things that, whether it was the Super Bowl or really any game, I mean, even some of the things that occurred yesterday, you want to just continually learn from both the good and the bad, have a short memory, but also make sure that, you're looking back on those things as an opportunity to not make the same mistakes twice.
It seemed like everything, up to that point is just kind of so positive, right? You kind of come in, you're having instant success. The team's kind of having good momentum. You guys kind of ride that to the Super Bowl. And it does seem like since then, right, more criticism has been directed at you and stuff. And right, I mean, we see you're a competitive guy, right? You got an edge. Just kind of wondering, when you kind of hear things that maybe kind of piss you off, is there kind of a place maybe that you go mentally to kind of be able to, not go crazy or stab Gary or,
Yeah, you know what? I would say this, Dylan. I think what you've learned is you want to be inside out. The opinions, I'm very appreciative of the platform that you guys enable for our league to be so successful and to be so popular. But I do try to guard myself from allowing the outside in opinions to affect the way that you operate on a day-to-day basis. I have total respect and appreciation for the job that you guys have, but the opinions that I'm concerned with are the people that I work with closely every single day that know the ins and outs. I'm going to make mistakes, but I think you have to be comfortable enough in your own skin to be able to own those mistakes and be able to move forward, have that accountability you hear me talk about all the time. And I think the criticism is just part of being in these leadership roles. Definitely you kind of get callous to it a little bit, but I also think one of the best ways is, you kind of try to stay ignorant to it. You try to minimize having stuff that can be put in your being that just isn't good energy and good positive vibes. And so I do kind of try to stay more inside out than anything else. I've done a much better job these last couple of years of kind of guarding against it, where you look at kind of the national stuff. But, I'm not looking at Gary's Twitter or anything like that when he's criticizing me.
Thank you.
Gary.
Oh, no.
Nice segue. Hey, Sean, can you give us an update on injuries coming out of that game, specifically Tyler Higbee, but anyone else?
Yeah, so Higbee's really the only one that, we're working through some different avenues. He got an MCL sprain there, Gary. He's such a tough guy. We're going to do everything in our power to try to get this guy back and ready to go. But we are working through some things, but it was an MCL sprain that he sustained yesterday or suffered.
And
everybody else, just your typical bumps and bruises. Taylor Rapp is looking like he's turning the corner in a positive way. And so, it was good. It'll be good to kind of figure out how we want to utilize these next couple of weeks to try to get some guys that have played a lot of football that are banged up as healthy as possible for the 13th. But the only guy that, from yesterday's game that his game status could be in doubt for the Super Bowl would be Higgs. But, we're taking that a day at a time.
And, Dylan was asking you about, matching up against Bill Belichick. In this scenario with Zach, do you feel like kind of the sage veteran having, going back now for the second time and having coached 5 seasons?
I mean, I think, you've got more experience, but Zach was a part of that last Super Bowl with this team too. And so, we have a shared ownership that exists amongst our coaching staff. So he's been through those things. He's accumulated great experience at other places that he's been, and he's done a phenomenal job these last few years with these guys. And so I don't know that you look at it like that. I think you look at it as you have a tremendous amount of knowledge and respect for what Zach brings to the table, and done a great job surrounding himself with a great staff. And that's why they're in this position. But, we want to do everything in our power to try to use these next couple weeks the right way, and then let the players go do their thing on the field.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean, Eric Weddle went from driving his kid's carpool about 3 weeks ago to being the leading tackler for the winning team in the NFC title game. What's going on there? And from your perspective, how is he able to do this?
It's outstanding. I'm not surprised. It's just one of those deals that, for him to be able to pull this off and what he's done, the juice and the energy, the leadership that he's brought over the last couple of weeks has been palpable. I mean, I've loved having him around. Love Eric Weddle. I know the teammates love him, and what he's done, playing as many snaps as he has the last couple of weeks it's incredible. It's remarkable. But if there was anybody that was going to be able to do it, it would be him. And I think his knowledge of the game, his instincts, his natural toughness, his feel, all those things were on display yesterday. And I'll be the first to tell you there's a couple things that we can clean up, but I thought he played a great game. I thought the 2nd and 1 tackle that he had that got him to 3rd and 2 was one of the biggest plays of the game. Then we end up getting the stop on 3rd down, and then they tried to get us to jump off sides on 4th down. But that play on 2nd and 1, if you just watch the way that he was able to, have the concept recognition, trigger in the backfield and get it for a -1, it was some great stuff. And he's been awesome, Greg. It's a great story. It is a great story. It's almost like some movie stuff that you would write, but he's really doing it in real life. Here we go.
Thanks.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, first real quick, want to also check on Sebastian, Robert, and Darrell and whether you think you're going to be able to get them up this week or.
Yeah, that's a good question. Reggie and I have kind of started, we'll talk about that. There's definitely a possibility. Want to make sure that I sit down and those guys about how they're feeling before anything becomes official, but I definitely am not closing the door on the possibility of those 3 guys being able to participate.
And then wanted to ask you if you could take us through what you saw or what you were being advised on those 2 challenges, kind of left you without timeouts with 10 minutes left.
Yep. So, the accountability lies with me. The first one with the quarterback sneak, I think that was not a great decision by me. It was kind of one of those, you're hopeful, you see the side shot of it. Going back to Arizona where we ended up challenging the one on the QB sneak, you're kind of hopeful that, all right, if they give you the top down shot, that maybe it goes through. That one was totally on me. And then the other one, it looked like it was kind of a bang, bang play in the flow of the game. There was a possibility that, we maybe thought there was a fumble there. Do that one a little bit differently, but ultimately those decisions are my responsibility. I've gotten great information all year. Those guys do a great job. In those instances yesterday, it didn't work out, but there's nobody that's responsible other than myself. And like we talked about kind of earlier in this conversation, got to be able to learn from it. Fortunately, it didn't hurt us. But it is important to be able to have those timeouts in your back pocket if you need those, and being a little bit smarter with those challenges. And that was something I didn't do a great job for us with yesterday. You've
talked a lot this year on multiple occasions about learning or evolving your sense of aggression and balancing that with patience. When you see a decision by someone you know so well, a team you know so well, Kyle Shanahan, that punt on the short yardage about midfield after the other challenge, and seeing what you guys were able to do on the other side of that in terms of the swing, do you also troubleshoot those types of things in your mind? Do those types of lessons, even though you're not specifically the one maybe learning it, do those still factor in as you study yourself and your decision-making?
There's no question. You use the other 31, the teams, the inventory, all the information that you have at your disposal, because they're still playing the same game. And these are all applicable situations. If the roles were reversed, I would have done the same thing Kyle did. It was a 17-14 game. Thought they had good momentum. They had been playing well. It was a hard fought game. Where you're at in that situation when you're up 3. And it wasn't like it was a 1, this was a long 2. We had done a good job defensively and, felt like that was what they were going to try to do. And I probably would have done the same thing if I was in Kyle's role. But you definitely want to use the other examples as learning ops without a doubt, Jordan, to answer your original question.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, we have a lot of hands. We won't have time to have 3 questions a person, so let's be efficient with our time. Kevin.
I have 2 questions. One, the possibility of playing the Super Bowl at home has kind of been part of the Rams story all season. Now that it's here, you talked a little bit about this before, but have you worked out the practice and other schedule for the next 2 weeks, with an eye to taking full advantage of that? And are there any pitfalls that you have to address?
Yeah, I think to answer the first part, yeah, we're definitely talking about, the schedule and how we want to allocate our time over the next couple of weeks without it getting stale, and kind of like what I was answering earlier on in this conversation. It's a little bit different, when Kurt asked the question about what you learned, different than when we went to Atlanta a couple years ago, because try to get everything done before you have to travel. Well, we don't have to travel. We're able to stay in our facilities, do all those things. And so being able to, manage the next couple weeks, getting our players refreshed, but making sure that they feel, as confident and as ready to go when the 13th hits without any monotony setting in. That's kind of that delicate balance. But have laid out some initial plans that we're kind of fine tuning right now. And then as far as the pitfalls, I think it's great to be able to stay in the normal rhythm and routine. I think what you also don't want to minimize is, what a special thing this is. Allow our guys to be able to enjoy it, understand where the focus is. But when you have all the people coming in from out of town, making sure you kind of get all those things taken care of, they're not a distraction at the house, or however people want to be able to handle it. But those would be some of the things that it's a blessing to be able to be at home, Kevin, but you also want to make sure that, the magnitude of this game, even though we are playing at our home stadium in our home city, it doesn't take away from the focus of finishing the task at hand, and that's trying to get one more win.
And then we could all probably come up with, 10, 20, 30 turning points or big moments in the past year that helped the Rams get to this point. Is there anything that stands out to you as maybe an underrated turning point? Obviously, we're eliminating, the Matthew Stafford trade. That's obvious. But anything that really made a big difference for you?
I mean, there's so many things that I could really point to. I mean, if you're just talking about just, additions, I mean, you look at some of the guys that had to step up, kind of like what Jordan asked after the game yesterday, the T. Howards of the world, the Kendall Blantons. That's a great, recognition for those guys, but it's also a great reflection of Les and his group, our coach's ability to develop guys. You could talk about what an amazing addition Vaughn and both Odell have been, and how instrumental they've been of kind of raising the level of play and being able to solidify certain spots that have made us, that much better on defense with Vaughn and offense with Odell. You look at Eric Weddle, the addition of that the last couple of weeks. I mean, what an amazing job. I think his rapport with Nick Scott has allowed Nick Scott to take his game to a different level. And so I think there's been I think to get yourself in a position like this, you have to have great players. You have to have everybody pulling the rope in the same direction. And I think you have to stack a lot of good decisions on top of one another where they work out in your favor. And I think that's what you've seen, work out. And it's all about the people. That's been the key thing, Kevin, is we've added great people that are very talented football players, and they want to go try to do everything in their power to win for the players that they care about in that locker room, the love that they have for one another. And I think you could feel that with the way that this team has come together at the right moments, this last month or so.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Hey, Sean. Before I ask my question, I want to make you look as great on TV as possible. Is there any way to turn your camera down a little bit? You're so low on the bottom of the screen. I want you to look terrific on Fox LA.
Oh, there you go. You can see the shiner I got on my nose from hugging Whitworth and Stafford when they hit my nose with their helmet.
I want to ask you about your opponent, and I just want you to size it up for me a bit. What the Bengals have done, not only this year, but to turn around a franchise in 2 years like they've done. And what impresses you most about this team right now?
Yeah, we're just diving into these guys, Kyle. So, to say anything schematically would be difficult. I've watched them from afar, and we've crossed over with them a little bit. But, I think when you just look at the 3 years with Zach, I think it's a great, testament to the consistent approach to a process, a commitment to a philosophy. And then you get the right guys at the key spots and how instrumental that can be in flipping the switch and flipping the narrative. Obviously, Burrow's been outstanding. I thought they've made some key additions in the draft with their skill players. Joe Mixon has always been a really good runner, but you look at the impact that T. Higgins has had. Obviously, Jamar Chase has been phenomenal. I think Boyd is one of the more underrated players in this league, and he was on that roster prior to Zach getting there. But, their core group of skill players has been phenomenal. Their line is they're tough, competitive. They've made some key additions in free agency defensively. You look at, some of the guys they added in the back end, really on both levels. They got rookie guy, they got young players that are really contributing. And then they've always been a really good special teams outfit. It's going to be a tough matchup, but I'm looking forward to really being able to dive into it and probably have a little bit more specific answers for you over the next couple of days.
All right, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria.
Sean, when you think back to the last Super Bowl and this time 2 weeks before, and you look at yourself now, what's the biggest difference that you see in yourself?
I think it's just experience. I think, being able to learn from all those other things that have occurred. If you really work hard at something, I think you give yourself a chance to get better. But I also realize it's about being surrounded by great people. We got great players. We've got really good coaches. But I just think, that experience that you accumulate, both the good and the bad, and use it as learning opportunities. And making sure that you try to do everything in your power to put our players in the right position, structure the week and practices and the game plans in a manner that's reflective of, accentuating these players' skill sets, letting them go out and play with a quieted mind. And, but the experience thing, I would say, is the biggest difference, Maria.
Do you feel like you're more calm this time around, or? Calm?
I don't know if calm's ever a word that anybody would use to describe me, but you know what? I think I would say that you're more comfortable is probably an appropriate word, but you also understand the urgency that's required for us to go finish this. There's a reason. Bengals have beat 3 excellent teams to get to this point in the playoffs. Just watching the grit, the toughness, the resolve. I think there's a lot of similarities in both of our teams that have led us to this point, and that's why it's going to be a great matchup.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Timothy.
Hey, Coach, you have that sign above your head, urgent enjoyment, and you're talking about enjoying the moment right now. Where do you think your team's head is at? Do you feel like it's in the right balance of celebrating today, but starting to get in the mindset on what's going to come in the next 2 weeks? And you seem kind of reserved, as opposed, you were more reserved last night, it seemed, than when you guys beat the Cardinals in the opening playoff game.
Yeah, I would say this. I feel like the team's in a really good place, Tim. I think urgent enjoyment, it can be kind of that cliche thing, but you always want to have urgency. But I think we're at our best, when we're enjoying the opportunity to go compete, play to the best of your abilities and let the chips fall where they may, go cut it loose, if you will. And I think we've done that. I think our players have done that. They have embodied exactly what that is. I think they also understand, the job's not finished. This is a great accomplishment. You want to enjoy it. You want to savor this, take it in, but understand that, there's one more step in this journey. We got one more box that we want to check, and we know it's going to be a great challenge, but we're not going to beat the Bengals. We don't have an opportunity to do that until February 13th, but we want to make sure that we're in the moment. We take it a day at a time. And I think yesterday, I was just that was a back and forth. There was a lot of, energy that was expended, and I was probably just more spent than anything else, but certainly very happy. I love these guys in the locker room, love these coaches, to be able to see those guys have those moments and sharing that success with them is really one of the things that makes this so special. You can never recreate the emotion and the care that you have for those people when you go through something like what an NFL season entails. And I think I was just more worn out, but I'm certainly grateful and very excited about the next stop that we have.
All right, we'll wrap this with you, Emmanuel.
Hey, Coach. When you look at Cooper's season, he's been able to create space all the time, even with a lot of attention to him. What makes him such a good route runner in your terms? And then after the catch too, how is he deal with that?
Yeah, he's been so special, Emmanuel. I think he's got great short space quickness. He's got a great ability to be able to seamlessly work edges on people. I think one of the great traits of any receiver is they're a great separator, and he's a great separator, and he doesn't need a lot of space to be able to build up speed. He knows how to work an edge, get a guy off of his spot, and then be able to break one way or the other on a lot of these routes that we give him the ability to break in, break out, or snap down. And then I think he's strong. I mean, he's got great contact balance. He's got a great feel for the game, but he knows how to work edges on people for the same reason that he's a great separator. I think he's why he's so great after the catch, and he's got great contact balance, all those things. I mean, everything you're saying, when you look at, all right, what makes guys that are great after the catch, he's checking all those boxes. He's got the traits and the characteristics, and I love the emotion that he played with. You look at the 3rd and 3 conversion that he catches that in breaking route. I thought he was going to come out the back door, but when you see Cooper get that excited, that lifts everybody. And then you look at the block that he throws on Tart on the next play. He was selling out. He's been outstanding, but great separator, and the contact balance and the overall strength is why he's so special after the catch.